Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, you are invited to close your eyes, to breathe slowly, and to let your body rest as you drift into the calm embrace of history. This is a history sleep story, a gentle journey into the past, designed to guide you not only into knowledge but also into peace, slowness, and eventually, restful sleep. The title of tonight's story is Why Dating Was So Difficult in Victorian England. As you listen, you'll discover how love, romance, and courtship once unfolded in the candlelit parlours, gaslit streets, and drawing rooms of the 19th century. It is a tale of etiquette and restraint, of rules whispered in fans and glances hidden behind lace curtains. A tale where affection was bound by silence, and every small gesture carried weight. But before we step into those quiet Victorian streets, I invite you to begin here in this moment with your own body and your own breath. Allow yourself to grow comfortable, adjusting the blankets around you, feeling the gentle weight of rest beginning to settle in. Inhale deeply, hold it for a moment, and then release slowly. As you exhale, imagine the tensions of your day dissolving, as if carried away by the faint sound of a breeze. Perhaps you imagine that breeze moving softly through tall curtains, the kind that hung in Victorian parlours, swaying slightly as the outside night pressed against the glass. Perhaps you hear the faint creak of wooden floors, the whisper of footsteps in the hall. Or perhaps you hear only silence, quiet, safe, and inviting. This is your space to rest, to wander calmly through time, to let history cradle you gently as you drift. Tonight's journey is not about rushing through events, but about walking slowly, step by step, through another era, an era where love was rarely spoken aloud, where desire was hidden in letters sealed with wax, and where dating, as we might know it today, simply did not exist. In Victorian England, the rules of romance were as heavy as the dresses of the women who wore them. Courtship was not a casual matter, but a ritual, guided by family expectations, social rank, and above all, etiquette. Even the smallest interaction between a man and a woman was observed, measured, and judged. The world of love was not free. It was enclosed by walls of propriety, as though even the heart itself had to follow a strict code. And yet, within those walls, there was longing. There were stolen glances across crowded rooms. There were secret notes slipped discreetly into books. There was the thrill of a chance meeting during a walk through the park, where a gentleman might lift his hat in greeting, and a lady might lower her eyes, though both might feel the same quiet racing of the heart. As you rest here, listening to these soft descriptions, allow your mind to wander back in time. Imagine yourself stepping through a wooden door onto a cobbled street, where horse-drawn carriages rattle in the distance. The lamps are lit with gaslight, casting a soft glow that flickers in the evening air. Gentle fog curls around the corners of buildings, blurring the edges of the city into a dreamlike haze. This is Victorian England, a world both strict and romantic, filled with mystery, rules, and hidden emotions. And tonight, you will not only learn about this world, you will walk through it, slowly, as though you were there yourself. But there is no need to hurry. This is a relaxing historical bedtime story, one that unfolds at the pace of your breathing. We will drift through the era together, moving from parlours to ballrooms, from quiet gardens to city streets, observing the many ways in which love was shaped and restrained. And as we do, you may find that your own breathing has grown slower, deeper, more restful. Take another deep breath now. Inhale fully and exhale softly. With every breath, let your body sink further into comfort. Let your shoulders grow heavy. Let your arms and legs release their tension. Let your eyelids grow heavier. as though they were curtains, softly falling shut in a quiet Victorian room. If your mind drifts, that is perfectly fine. These words are here to guide you, but they are also here to be set aside. You may choose to listen, or to let them fade into the background like distant music. This story will hold you either way. For now, imagine yourself sitting by a window in the Victorian age. Outside, the streets are quiet. You see a gentleman passing by, his tall hat catching the lamplight, his cane tapping faintly against the cobblestones. You see a lady walking with her companion, gloved hands folded neatly before her, her dress brushing softly against the ground. Their steps do not cross, their gazes barely meet, yet beneath the surface, entire worlds of feeling stir silently. This is the world we are entering tonight, a world where every word is measured and every glance is meaningful, a world where dating was not only difficult, it was nearly impossible by modern standards. And yet, it is in this difficulty that we find beauty, longing, and tenderness. As you prepare to drift deeper into this story, allow the last remnants of your day to fall away. Picture them as papers on a desk in a dimly lit Victorian study. One by one, you blow out the lamps, close the books, and leave the room behind. When the final door closes, only calm remains. And now, the story begins. The year is somewhere in the middle of the 19th century. You find yourself in Victorian England, a world of contrasts, between wealth and poverty, silence and bustle, restraint and hidden desire. It is a time when the Industrial Revolution has reshaped the land, filling the skies of the great cities with smoke, while the countryside still stretches with quiet fields, hedgerows, and winding paths where time seems to move more slowly. For tonight's journey, we will begin not in the heart of London, but in a smaller town, peaceful, manageable, and calm. This way, you may absorb the rhythm of life without being overwhelmed by noise or haste. Imagine yourself standing at the center of a cobblestone street. The day has drawn to a close, and the last traces of sunlight linger on the roofs of brick houses. The air is crisp and faintly scented with coal smoke, for fires have been lit in parlours and kitchens. You can almost hear the faint rattle of pots and kettles, the muted hum of a household preparing for the evening meal. Doors open and close quietly, and in the distance, the rhythmic clop of horse hooves carries through the evening air. The architecture around you speaks of the Victorian spirit. Orderly rows of terraced houses with tall chimneys, lace curtains pulled close against the outside world, and wrought iron gates marking the threshold between the street and the sanctity of home. Gas lamps stand like sentinels along the road, their soft yellow glow just beginning to flicker to life as the evening grows darker. You pause to take it in, not hurriedly, but slowly, the way one might look at a painting. You notice the sound of the wind as it stirs the trees. You notice the stillness of the sky above, pale blue deepening into dusk. And you notice the way people move through this town, not rushed, but deliberate, careful, each step marked by the etiquette of their age. A woman passes, her dress heavy with fabric, skirts brushing against the ground. She walks with measured dignity, her gloved hand resting lightly on the arm of an older woman beside her. A gentleman tips his hat as they pass, a small gesture of respect that conveys more meaning than a string of words. You sense how much weight every small interaction carried in Victorian life. Now, imagine yourself as both observer and participant. You are here in two ways, as yourself, watching, absorbing, safe and calm, and also as a quiet character within this world. Perhaps you are someone standing at the edge of the street, leaning against the iron railing, watching the gas lamps flicker to life. Perhaps you are walking home yourself, your footsteps slow and unhurried, the sound of your shoes steady against the cobblestones. The streets are peaceful, though filled with unspoken rules. Men and women walk separately unless bound by family. Young people do not linger in close conversation for fear of gossip. The presence of a chaperone, even in a small town, is expected when a lady of marrying age steps outside. The rules of love are already here, quietly shaping the evening. Yet, as you stand in this calm setting, there is no urgency, no need to analyze or compare. The quiet observation itself is soothing. Notice how the lamplight grows stronger now, casting a glow upon the polished boots of a man passing by, upon the folds of a dress, upon the soft curls of hair tucked beneath a bonnet. Somewhere nearby, a carriage rolls slowly past, the sound of its wheels steady, the leather reins creaking faintly as the horse exhales. The smell of hay and horse mingles with the faint sweetness of chimney smoke. These sensory details wrap around you like a blanket of atmosphere, carrying you deeper into this world. And now, with the streets settling into dusk, the town takes on a hush. Shops close their doors, shutters are drawn, and the day folds into evening. It is in this calm, in this moment between day and night, that you may begin to imagine how love and courtship unfolded in such a place. A world where families guarded reputations carefully, where whispers of scandal could ripple quickly through towns as small as this one. But tonight, there is no scandal, only stillness, only the gentle hum of a town preparing for rest. As the lamps burn softly and the sky darkens, you breathe slowly, deeply, as though you yourself are sinking into the rhythm of Victorian life. As dusk deepens outside, imagine yourself being welcomed into one of the homes along this cobblestone street. A polished brass knocker rests upon the painted door, and when it opens, you are greeted not with words but with warmth. The kind of warmth that comes from a coal fire glowing in the hearth. You step quietly inside. The hallway is narrow, yet orderly, lined with framed prints and perhaps a mirror with a gilded frame. Your shoes tap softly against wooden boards polished to a shine, and as the door closes behind you, the bustle of the outside street fades. The sound of voices, the clatter of hooves, the sigh of wind against shutters, all of it becomes distant. Now the house itself surrounds you, protective and calm. In the parlour, the glow of lamplight bathes the room in a golden haze. The lamp is fueled by oil, its light softer than the bright electric glow we know today. Shadows play gently across the wallpaper, perhaps striped, perhaps adorned with a floral pattern, faded here and there from years of use. Heavy drapes frame the window, shutting out the cool night air, and a small clock ticks steadily on the mantelpiece above the fire. The parlour is the centre of evening life, and everything within it speaks of Victorian priorities: respectability, order, comfort. A set of upholstered chairs is arranged neatly around the hearth. A table, covered with a lace cloth, rests near the window, and on it lies a collection of books, some devotional, some novels, perhaps even a volume of poetry. For families who could afford it, books were not merely objects of entertainment, but signs of refinement, of moral character, of an education prized and displayed. You take a seat, sinking into one of the chairs. The fabric is slightly firm, not the deep plush of modern cushions, but comfortable in its own way. You feel the fire's warmth reaching your hands, the faint crackle of coals shifting in the grate. A tea tray rests nearby, delicate porcelain cups arranged neatly upon it. The steam of freshly brewed tea curls upward, carrying a faint fragrance, something floral, perhaps bergamot or chamomile. soothing to the senses. Now, listen closely to the room. A quiet murmur of voices drifts in, perhaps from a mother speaking with her daughter about the events of the day, or from a father reading aloud from the evening newspaper. The newspaper crinkles as the page turns, the ink faintly smudging fingertips. Victorian families placed great emphasis on this ritual of evening reading, keeping abreast of politics, inventions, and society news. For young women, however, such evenings were more than domestic routine. They were also rehearsals in manners, in conversation, in the subtle arts of presenting oneself within the narrow boundaries of Victorian courtship. Imagine a young woman seated across from you now. She wears a modest gown, its bodice buttoned neatly, its sleeves trimmed with lace. Her hair is arranged with care, pinned up, though a few curls soften the edges around her face. She sits upright, her posture composed. When addressed, she answers politely, never too boldly, never too directly. In her world, refinement is everything. Too much laughter, too much familiarity, too much eagerness, and she risks judgment. This is the world in which courtship took place, not in the free-spirited exchanges of modern life, but within the carefully arranged spaces of parlours and drawing rooms. Here, a conversation could bloom, but always under the watchful presence of family. A suitor might be invited in for tea, his words measured, his demeanour studied. The smallest remark, the faintest expression, could carry hidden meaning, noticed not just by the young woman, but by her parents, siblings, perhaps even by a visiting aunt. And yet, there is calm in this ritual. Think of the quiet way time seemed to pass in such a household. The flicker of firelight, the ticking of the mantel clock, the steady rhythm of polite speech. No hurried declarations, no dramatic gestures, just the gradual weaving of connection within the soft web of etiquette. For a moment, imagine yourself part of this scene. Perhaps you are seated nearby, a guest for the evening, welcomed with courtesy. The teacup feels delicate in your hand, the steam warming your face as you listen to the rise and fall of conversation. Perhaps you respond with a few words, gentle, kind. Nothing that disturbs the stillness of the room. You feel yourself drawn into the quiet performance of Victorian social life, not with tension, but with a sense of serenity. As the evening deepens, the household begins to slow even further. Books are closed, the fire burns lower, glowing embers soft against the darkened grate. One by one, candles are extinguished until only a few lamps remain. Family members rise, offering their good nights with polite bows of the head, with gentle smiles. Each retires to their rooms, leaving the parlour silent once more. You too feel this winding down as though it were your own. You rise, walk softly down a corridor lit by a single lamp, and ascend a narrow staircase. The steps creak faintly underfoot, and the air grows cooler as you move away from the warmth of the hearth. At the top of the stairs, a bedroom waits. Simple, tidy, with a narrow bed covered in quilts. A wash basin rests upon a stand, a pitcher of water beside it. A Bible or devotional text rests upon the bedside table. The world outside is silent now, the town hushed beneath its blanket of night. You stand by the window a moment longer, pulling back the drape. Beyond the glass, the stars gleam faintly, scattered across the sky. The gas lamps glow along the street, but the voices have faded. You breathe in slowly, noticing the quiet, the stillness, the way this Victorian town sleeps, sheltered and safe. And as you release the curtain, as you settle into the calm of this imagined room, you feel your own breath slowing, your own mind preparing to drift further into this journey, deeper into the history, deeper into the dreamlike stillness of the past. You step gently out into the morning of a Victorian city, the pale sky still soft with lingering mist. The lamps along the street are being extinguished one by one, their glass casings glinting faintly in the fading twilight. The cobblestones beneath your feet are damp from the night, and the air carries the scent of coal smoke mingled with the faint freshness of dawn. As you begin to walk, you hear the first stirrings of life, carriage wheels clattering distantly, the bray of a milkman's horse, the soft call of a vendor opening shutters. The city, though built of brick and soot and iron, seems to wake as though it too is alive, stretching slowly into the day. The homes that line the streets are tall and narrow, each with uniform facades, their windows framed by lace curtains and flower pots carefully tended. Doors open as servants sweep front steps, their brushes swishing rhythmically. A woman pauses to shake out a rug, the dust floating gently into the air, catching the early sunlight like drifting motes. The air is cool, and as you draw your shawl closer, or perhaps merely imagine the comfort of it, you notice how the city's energy hums without haste, as though life itself follows a ritual as precise as a clock's steady tick. In the market square, the day begins more fully. You step slowly across the worn stones, passing stalls where vendors arrange their wares. The soft murmur of voices swells gradually into a chorus. Greetings exchanged, coins clinking, horses shifting their hooves. A fishmonger pours fresh water over his catch, the silver bodies glistening as if still alive. A baker lifts warm loaves from wicker baskets, their steam rising sweetly into the air. The smell of bread mingles with the sharper scent of coal smoke from a nearby smithy, and together they form the aroma of a Victorian morning, both comforting and industrial, both human and mechanical. You pause by a stall of flowers, their colours soft against the soot-darkened city. A girl, perhaps 12, offers small bouquets wrapped in paper, violets, roses, sprigs of lavender. Her hands are chapped from the cold, yet her eyes are bright as she whispers a polite good morning. Flowers, in this age, are more than decoration. They are language. Each bloom carries meaning, each petal a code of sentiment. To offer roses might suggest passion, violets humility, lavender devotion. In a world where words are often restrained by propriety, flowers become speech without sound. You take one of the small bouquets, holding it close, inhaling its gentle fragrance. As you move on, the market fades behind you. Your footsteps carry you toward the harbour, where ships rest quietly along wooden docks. Their tall masts reach into the pale sky, their ropes creaking faintly as the tide shifts beneath them. Men move slowly about their work, loading crates, coiling ropes, shouting instructions in voices softened by distance. The water laps steadily against the pilings, carrying with it the faint briny scent of the sea. Here too Victorian life reveals its balance of movement and stillness. Industry at work, yet softened by the rhythm of waves and the distant call of gulls. And in this moment, the narrative shifts gently from your own footsteps to those of another. Somewhere within this same city, a young woman named Clara prepares for her day. She stands by her window, looking out at the waking street, her hands clasped loosely at her waist. Clara is 20 years of age, the daughter of a respectable but not wealthy family. Her dress is modest, its fabric plain, yet her posture carries grace, her gaze softened by quiet thoughtfulness. Today she is expected to accompany her mother to visit a relative, and perhaps, though it is never spoken aloud, there will be a chance encounter with a gentleman whose attention her parents would welcome. For Clara, mornings are filled with quiet preparation. She brushes her hair carefully, pins it up in the style of the day, and smooths the fabric of her gown. There is no haste in her motions. Everything is deliberate, practiced, part of the ritual of respectability that frames her life. She carries herself as though every gesture might be observed, every word remembered. For in Victorian society, a young woman's worth is measured not only by her appearance, but by her restraint, her composure, her ability to embody virtues of modesty and patience. Yet Clara's thoughts are not always so disciplined. As she ties the ribbons of her bonnet, she wonders, quietly, secretly, what it might be like to walk freely through the city, to linger by the harbour and watch the ships without purpose, to choose a flower for herself without considering what message it might send. But such thoughts are fleeting, quickly folded away like letters never sent. She is, after all, a daughter, a niece, a potential bride, and her life belongs as much to her family as it does to her own desires. You find yourself walking alongside Clara now, as though her path and yours have gently converged. Together you step through the marketplace once more, this time not as a wanderer, but as someone seen, someone observed. A young man, standing by a stall of books, glances briefly in Clara's direction. He does not approach, does not speak. He simply lowers his gaze with the faintest of nods. Such small gestures carry weight in this world, too forward and it is improper, too reserved and the moment slips away. Clara lowers her own gaze, her cheeks warming ever so slightly, though her mother, walking beside her, notices nothing. This is how courtship begins in Victorian England, not with declarations, not with hurried intimacy, but with glances, with silence, with pauses so subtle they could vanish like mist if one did not look closely. And so, the day continues, each step slow, each moment unfolding like a page turned gently in a book. As afternoon wanes, you and Clara walk toward the river. The water here moves more steadily than at the harbour, its surface reflecting the muted light of a sky now tinged with gold. The path along the embankment is quiet, lined with willows that sway gently in the breeze. A boat glides past, its oars dipping in rhythm, the ripples spreading outward in widening circles. Clara pauses by the railing, her gloved hands resting lightly upon it, her gaze drifting over the water. She speaks softly, not to you directly, but as though her thoughts slip free for the first time that day. "It is strange," she murmurs, "how the world seems so wide, yet our place within it so narrow." Her words linger like the air itself, calm and unhurried. And you too feel the narrowing of time, the way this journey folds you gently into its rhythm. The city is no longer bustling, no longer overwhelming. It is simply present, a backdrop for reflection, a stage upon which lives are lived quietly, carefully, yet no less deeply. The evening begins to fall once more, just as it did before. Lamps are lit along the streets, their glow mirrored faintly in the river's surface. Clara turns back toward home, her steps measured, her posture upright. She carries with her not just the weight of expectations, but also the quiet resilience of someone who knows that even within constraint, there is room for thought, for memory, for the tender secrets of the heart. And as you follow her path, you realize that this journey is not about rushing, not about discovery in haste, but about moving slowly, peacefully, through the delicate weave of a world long past. Every sound, every scent, every glance is a thread, and together they form the tapestry of life in Victorian England, beautiful, intricate, and soft enough to guide you deeper into rest. As the evening deepens in Victorian England, you find yourself wandering further into the heart of the town, your footsteps soft against cobbled streets that have been worn smooth by decades of passage. The gas lamps flicker gently above, their glow softened by a thin mist curling through the air. The streets are not loud or bustling. Instead, they carry a quiet hum of restrained life, one that fits so well with the Victorian temperament, orderly, measured and polite. You pause for a moment to breathe in the faint sense of smoke from coal fires, mingling with the sweetness of baked bread cooling in a nearby shop window. Each sensory detail wraps around you, slowing your thoughts, as if urging you to drift deeper into this world of quiet restraint. You drift past tall brick houses, each narrow and proper, with lace curtains carefully pulled across the windows. Behind those curtains lies a world of ritual and expectation, where every move, every glance, every whispered word between men and women was weighed and interpreted through the strict lens of propriety. To be seen walking with someone of the opposite sex without a chaperone could mean scandal. To be caught speaking in too familiar a tone could lead to whispers that might ruin one's chances at a respectable marriage. Courtship was not about freedom, not about chance encounters filled with laughter and spontaneity. Instead, it was a delicate dance, performed in drawing rooms and parlours, with parents ever watchful and society ready to judge. In this slow walk, you imagine yourself entering such a parlour where a small gathering is taking place. The room is warm, lit by the steady glow of oil lamps and the crackle of a coal fire in the hearth. Gentle music drifts through the air as a young lady plays softly at the piano, her hands gliding with careful precision across the ivory keys. Around the room, young men and women sit or stand with careful posture, exchanging words that are polite, measured, and often practiced. Every smile is cautious, every laugh is delicate, and though there may be genuine admiration or affection beneath the surface, it must remain hidden, at least for now, beneath the cover of formality. You take a seat by the window, noticing how the glass reflects the soft amber glow of the lamps. Outside, the night is quiet, but here in this space, the drama of courtship unfolds in silence and suggestion. A young man offers a lady a cup of tea, his hands slightly trembling though his words are steady. She accepts with a nod, not daring to meet his eyes for too long, for such a gesture would be too forward. Their interaction is almost imperceptible to the casual observer, yet in this small moment, a world of meaning exists. Such was the nature of Victorian romance. Heavy with rules, yet alive with unspoken emotion. You imagine yourself as one of those young women or men, dressed neatly in the stiff fashions of the time. Perhaps you feel the lace collar tight against your neck, or the smoothness of gloves covering your hands. Perhaps your shoes pinch just a little as you shift in your chair. These small discomforts are part of the ritual, for outward appearance meant everything. A misstep in dress or behaviour could invite gossip, and gossip had the power to destroy reputations more quickly than truth ever could. And so you sit still, smiling softly, waiting for a moment when a word, a glance, or perhaps a shared laugh over a piano song might carry meaning enough to open the door to further acquaintance. When the evening draws to a close, the air outside feels cool and fresh as the door opens, and guests step out into the street once more. A row of carriages waits, their lamps glowing like fireflies against the mist. The sound of hooves tapping gently against stone fills the night. A gentleman might be allowed to walk a lady to her carriage, though under the watchful eye of her family. Words exchanged in this moment are brief and careful, perhaps a promise to meet again at another gathering, or a simple wish for her health and happiness. You watch this unfold with calm fascination, noticing how much meaning can live in so few words. As you wander further along the quiet lanes, You realize that love in this era was rarely a matter of pure choice. Social class, wealth, and family expectations shaped nearly every union. To marry without the blessing of one's family, or without regard to financial stability, was often seen as reckless or dishonorable. Yet even so, hearts still longed, just as they always have. The yearning for affection, the hope of finding someone who understood the quiet parts of one's soul. These desires lived within every young man and woman of Victorian England, though they often had to be hidden beneath layers of etiquette. You pause again, picturing the lonely figure of a young scribe, or perhaps a governess, walking home beneath the lamplight. Her steps are measured, her head lowered, for she knows she must move through the city with caution and propriety. Perhaps she carries with her a letter folded neatly in her pocket, a letter written in secret, its words filled with tenderness that could never be spoken aloud in company. That letter might never be sent, yet its existence offers comfort, proof that beneath the silence of daily life, emotions run deep and true. You continue your quiet journey, feeling the way history and humanity weave together in this place. The town fades into the stillness of night, but its voices linger in memory. The restrained laughter, the careful exchanges, the soft music echoing in parlours. In this slow rhythm of Victorian life, you sense both the weight of restriction and the timeless truth of longing. It is a world where love must move like shadows across a candlelit room, unseen but deeply felt. And as you drift deeper into this world, your own breathing slows. The imagery of lamplight, soft piano notes, and whispered conversations blends with the steady beat of your heart. The journey has brought you here not just to observe, but to feel, to let the gentle weight of history carry you into calm reflection, where time stretches and softens, and you are free to rest. The streets of the Victorian town begin to fade as the night deepens, and with each step you feel yourself being guided toward quieter places, where history whispers more softly, where the world slows to an even gentler rhythm. The echoes of footsteps on cobblestones grow fainter, until at last you stand before the gates of a grand estate, their ironwork delicate and intricate, curling in patterns of ivy and roses wrought in metal. The gates open with barely a sound, as if they have been waiting for you all along. You pass through them and enter a gravel path lined with trimmed hedges that stretch ahead in symmetry, leading toward a stately Victorian palace. Its facade is tall and solemn, windows glowing faintly with candlelight from within. The moon above casts silver across its roof, softening the stern lines of the architecture into something more dreamlike, more welcoming. As you approach, the great oak doors open, and you are invited to step inside. The air is warmer here, carrying the faint scent of polished wood and beeswax candles. The hall is vast, with ceilings arched high above, adorned with painted scenes of allegory and myth. Marble floors gleam beneath your feet, each step echoing softly as though reluctant to disturb the silence. You move slowly through this space, your senses lingering on every detail. The shimmer of gold leaf frames that hold family portraits, the velvet curtains draped with perfect precision, the quiet dignity of the staircase sweeping upward in a graceful curve. This palace is not merely a home, but a testament to wealth, power, and tradition. Yet, in the stillness of night, it feels hushed, like a place waiting not to impress, but to rest. You drift further inward, into the drawing rooms and parlours where social life once unfolded. The furniture stands in neat arrangement, waiting for voices that are no longer here. You imagine faintly the gatherings that once took place within these walls. Ladies in gowns of satin, gentlemen in waistcoats, the murmur of polite conversation. the rustle of silk skirts brushing against polished floors. And yet, for all their elegance, the moments of intimacy were rare, and love itself often hidden behind expectation and duty. Perhaps in a corner, at a piano bench, someone once played a soft nocturne, and another listened, feeling a longing that could never be spoken. The palace remembers, even if its rooms are now still. Leaving the interior behind, you step out into the palace gardens. The night air greets you, cool and fragrant, carrying the scent of roses and damp earth. The paths stretch wide, lined with statues of marble and fountains that glimmer faintly in moonlight. The water moves slowly, reflecting the stars above. You walk gently along a gravel lane, hearing the soft crunch beneath your steps, and pause at a stone bench. Here, beneath a canopy of ivy and wisteria, you feel time loosen even further. The palace behind you grows distant, and in its place, you are aware only of the sound of flowing water and the breath of the wind moving gently through the leaves. It is easy now to imagine how, in another century, such gardens might have been a rare refuge for those living within the rigid boundaries of society. A young woman might slip away from the watchful eyes of her chaperone to walk alone for a moment beneath the stars. A gentleman might pace these very paths in solitude, rehearsing words he longed to say but dared not speak aloud. The gardens knew their secrets, holding them gently in the quiet of night. As you rest in this imagined place, history offers you another story, light and calming. In the Victorian age, flower language, known as floriography, became a subtle way of communicating feelings that could not be spoken. A red rose for love, a white lily for purity, a sprig of lavender for devotion. In parlours and gardens alike, flowers became messages, carried silently from hand to hand, or left within letters and books. Tonight, in this dreamlike garden, you notice a single bloom placed upon the bench beside you. It is a violet, delicate and deep in colour, and with it comes the message of loyalty, a quiet promise whispered through petals instead of words. You tuck it gently into your hand, carrying the calm weight of its meaning with you as you rise and continue walking through the garden's winding paths. The sound of the fountain fades, replaced by the distant murmur of water from beyond the estate. Soon, you find yourself walking down a sloping path that leads away from the manicured grounds, toward a riverside bathed in the silver wash of moonlight. The river moves slowly, its surface like glass, carrying faint ripples that catch the starlight above. You stand at the edge, listening to the soft lap of water against stone, and the quiet chorus of nightbirds hidden among the reeds. This is not the noise of day, but the music of stillness, perfectly suited for rest. Along the river, stories of courtship continued, though always bound in formality. A gentleman might invite a lady for a walk by the water, but only in daylight and in the company of a chaperone. Yet the river itself cared little for human rules. It flowed as it always had, carrying with it the reflections of sun by day and of stars by night. Standing here, you realize how even in the strictness of Victorian life, nature offered quiet solace, a reminder of freedom beneath the weight of expectation. The longer you stand by the water, the more you notice the sky above, endless and clear, sprinkled with countless stars. Slowly, your gaze lifts and your breath follows, deepening with each moment. The constellations glow softly, just as they did for Victorian stargazers who often found comfort in charting the heavens. Many kept small telescopes by their windows, recording the movements of the night sky in journals. To look at the stars then, as now, was to feel both small and infinite, a reminder that beyond the rigid rules of earthly life lay a vastness untouched, ungoverned, eternal. You settle by the riverside, perhaps upon a smooth stone, and allow yourself to gaze upward. The stars twinkle in steady rhythm, a cosmic lullaby that stretches across time itself. You imagine Victorian poets sitting by candlelight, writing lines inspired by this same sky, their words gentle and searching. For though society demanded restraint, the stars always invited wonder, always offered space for dreaming. Your breathing deepens, matching the flow of the river, slow and steady. The palace fades behind you. The gardens grow distant. Now there is only the water, the stars, and the vast, calming quiet of night. The journey continues, soft and unbroken, carrying you ever deeper into peace. The riverside begins to soften, its sound fading into memory, like ripples slowly dissolving into stillness. Your steps carry you further along the path, though time itself feels suspended. Soon, the river gives way to open countryside, where fields stretch endlessly beneath the glow of moonlight. The air here is different, cooler, tinged with the scent of hay and wild grasses. A breeze drifts across the landscape, brushing your skin as softly as silk. The sky arches vast above, filled with constellations that glitter like 1,000 lanterns hung in the heavens. Each star shines steadily, patient and timeless, as though the night itself is keeping watch. In the quiet countryside of Victorian England, scenes like this were once a part of daily life, especially for those outside the cities. Farmers ended their long workdays by lantern light, leaving their tools in barns and walking home across fields much like these. At night, the countryside grew silent except for the chorus of insects, the occasional call of an owl, and the gentle sighing of wind. Villagers often describe these nights as both lonely and comforting, the solitude of open fields balanced by the familiar rhythm of nature. Even for people surrounded by hardship and duty, the countryside could be a place of rare serenity. Tonight, as you drift through this dreamlike vision, you too feel the calm woven into these fields, the sense that the earth itself has slowed to match your breath. You pass by a wooden fence, weathered and softened by years of sun and rain, and notice the faint outline of a farmhouse in the distance. Its windows glow with a gentle amber light, perhaps from oil lamps burning low. You imagine a family inside, gathered around a wooden table, speaking in hushed voices so as not to wake the children already asleep upstairs. The smell of bread, baked earlier in the day, might still linger faintly in the air, mingling with the smoke from a small fireplace. Though life was often hard in such homes, nights carried their own simple comforts: quiet prayers, soft music from a fiddle, or the gentle creak of floorboards as the house settled into stillness. As you continue walking, the fields begin to stretch wider still, until the land seems to open into something more boundless. The countryside softens into moorland, and soon the moor fades further, giving way to a vision of desert. Here, in this drifting dream journey, geography shifts like water, carrying you far beyond England. The earth beneath your feet grows dry and pale, its surface covered in sands that glisten faintly beneath the moonlight. The air grows warmer, though still touched by the coolness of night. Around you lies a vast expanse of desert, rolling dunes like frozen waves, stretching endlessly toward the horizon. At first, the silence is profound, an almost sacred stillness that seems to absorb all sound. Yet, as you linger, you begin to notice subtle music hidden within. The sigh of sand stirred by the wind, the soft hiss of shifting grains as the breeze carries them across the dunes, the distant cry of a night bird far away. Here, Beneath the sky, time feels even more expansive. The stars blaze more brightly than ever, their light unclouded by smoke or lamps, undimmed by walls or roofs. They shine as they once shone for Victorian travellers who journeyed far from home, writing letters filled with wonder at the deserts of Egypt or Arabia, describing skies so brilliant they seem to shimmer with eternity. In those years, travel was becoming increasingly possible for the wealthy. Steamships and railways extended routes across continents, carrying curious minds to new lands. Victorian explorers and scholars often wrote in their diaries of desert nights like this one, of how silence pressed upon them so deeply that even their own breathing seemed to echo. For some it was unsettling, for others it was the purest peace they had ever known. Tonight for you, the desert is peace incarnate, offering nothing but openness, space and stars. You climb gently up a dune, the sand shifting softly beneath your feet. At its crest, you pause and gaze out at the endless expanse, the moon painting silver upon every curve and hollow. Below, a caravan passes slowly across the horizon. A line of camels, their silhouettes swaying rhythmically against the pale glow. Lanterns hang from saddles, casting golden orbs that flicker like stars drifting close to the earth. The caravan moves with unhurried grace, steady and timeless, as if echoing the slow breathing of the desert itself. Though far away, their presence is calming, reminders of human perseverance, of journeys that move forward step by gentle step, just as yours does tonight. You descend the dunes slowly, letting the grains slide beneath your soles. At the base you discover a small oasis, its waters reflecting the stars in a perfect mirror. Palms rise around it, their fronds swaying gently. Whispering in the breeze, you kneel beside the water, dipping your hand into its coolness, feeling the ripples spread outward in widening rings. The oasis feels like a gift, a place of rest hidden within vastness. Here too, you sense echoes of history. Victorian travellers once wrote of such oases as havens, describing the profound relief of water after days of arid wandering. Some compared it to finding grace itself, a reminder that even in the most challenging landscapes, moments of refreshment appear when needed. As you rest by the oasis, you notice the sky above deepening further, its stars shining brighter still. The constellations are clearer here than anywhere before, their patterns vivid and unmistakable. You can trace Orion with ease, his belt of 3 stars cutting a straight path across the heavens. Nearby glows Sirius, the brightest star, shimmering with a light so steady it feels almost alive. Victorian stargazers cherished nights like this, sketching the constellations into notebooks, charting the movements of planets, and wondering at the mysteries of the universe. Many believed that in the stillness of the night sky, answers to earthly troubles might be found, or at the very least, solace. You lean back now, reclining against the sand, your body cradled by the earth's gentle slope. Your gaze lingers on the stars, your breath deep and slow, steady as the rhythm of the desert wind. The caravan fades from sight. The farmhouse is long behind you. The palace gardens too have dissolved into dream. What remains is the calm of boundless space, the assurance that you are safe, that the world itself has settled into stillness. And with this stillness, you are carried deeper, gently, into rest. The desert lies behind you now, though its silence still lingers in your breath. As you lean into the curve of the sand, your eyes wander upward, drawn by the great tapestry of the night sky. The heavens seem impossibly wide here, endless in depth and distance, a canvas brushed with thousands of shining points. The longer you gaze, the more stars reveal themselves, until it feels as though the universe has unfurled entirely above you, layer upon layer of quiet light. The moon hangs in its fullness, casting a silvery glow that softens the earth below, transforming dunes into rippling seas and palm fronds into delicate lace. It is easy to lose yourself in such a sky. Many in the Victorian age did the same, for astronomy was not only a science, but also a quiet form of wonder. Families often gathered in their gardens with small telescopes, lifting their eyes away from gas lamps and chimney smoke, marvelling at Jupiter's faint bands or the shifting glow of Saturn's rings. Even those who never owned a telescope found comfort in the stars, seeing in them a reminder that beyond the crowded streets and narrow worries of life, a vast and tranquil order stretched overhead. Tonight, you feel what they felt, the reassurance that the sky has always been there, steady, patient, and eternal. As you continue to gaze, a curious sensation arises, one of weightlessness, as though the pull of the earth is slowly easing. Your body feels light, as though carried by the cool desert breeze, and soon you notice yourself drifting upward, rising gently toward the stars. There is no rush, no fear, only the gradual sensation of release, of being drawn into the quiet arms of the sky. The dunes and oases shrink softly below, their shapes blending into the silver shadows of night. The air grows thinner, cooler, yet you feel only comfort, as though wrapped in layers of calm. Above you, constellations glow brighter. You drift past the hunter, his bow raised in eternal stance. You follow the curve of the Great Bear, its form guiding you toward the North Star, that faithful point sailors once used to steer across oceans. In the Victorian era, mariners and travellers relied upon this star, trusting it to remain steady when maps faltered and compasses failed. To gaze upon it was to feel anchored, even in the most uncertain seas. As you pass it now, you too feel a sense of guidance, a gentle reassurance that you are moving exactly where you are meant to be. Higher and higher you rise, until the desert, the countryside, and even the rivers of England are all threads woven into a single, distant tapestry. The earth itself becomes round beneath you, glowing faintly blue, cradled by the arms of space. Yet still you feel no fear, only awe, only calm, for this is not a journey of distance, but of rest, a dreamlike lifting that carries you closer to the stars. The moon is near now, luminous and immense, its craters and ridges softened by silver light. Victorian poets often wrote of the moon as a companion, a lantern hung in the heavens to watch over weary travellers. Some believed its glow carried a kind of wisdom, a reminder that cycles of change and renewal guide all things. You sense that wisdom now, a quiet whisper that all phases, whether fullness or shadow, belong to the same gentle rhythm. The moon seems to smile upon you, its light washing over your skin like the calmest of tides. Steady and protective, as you drift onward, you find yourself passing through soft veils of cloud, each one glowing faintly with moonlight. They are cool and weightless, brushing against you like fine silk before dissolving into mist. Through them, stars continue to gleam, as if winking in quiet welcome. The sky is alive with their shimmer, and you find yourself surrounded by constellations that feel almost close enough to touch. One by one, they seem to lean toward you, each carrying their own story. Victorian stargazers loved these stories, retelling myths of Orion, Cassiopeia, and Pegasus on long winter nights by the fire. Yet even beyond myth, they found solace in the stars themselves, seeing in their light something beyond human sorrow, something endless. In letters and diaries, many wrote of lying awake on calm nights, window open, watching a single bright star until sleep came at last. Tonight, you are carried into that same tradition, wrapped in the gentle storytelling of the heavens, lulled by the patient glow of distant suns. Drifting still higher, you find yourself floating among the constellations, each star a soft ember glowing against the velvet sky. The air is no longer air, but something lighter, silence itself, vast and eternal. You breathe it in as though it were a gentle breeze, filling your lungs with calm. Around you, space is not empty but comforting, a cradle for the weary, a place where time stretches infinitely and softly. You notice how your thoughts begin to slow here. Each one arrives gently, like a feather drifting down, before dissolving into the silence. Worries fade into distance. The memory of footsteps along palace stones, the glow of farmhouse windows, the hush of desert dunes. All are still with you, yet softened, blurred, woven into one seamless dream. You are not apart from history now. You are within it, carried through time and space as gently as a leaf upon water. The stars seem to pulse softly, as though breathing with you. In, out, light brightening, softening, a rhythm you share. This gentle synchrony draws you deeper still, your body heavy with relaxation, your mind quiet, your breath unhurried. Each passing star feels like a lantern left for you along the path, guiding you toward rest. Finally, you drift into a place where the stars cluster thickly, forming a river of light across the sky, the Milky Way. It stretches endlessly, a luminous band flowing like water. Victorian observers often wrote of it in awe, calling it a pathway of the gods, or a bridge of eternity. Tonight, it feels like a pathway meant just for you. You follow its glow, feeling yourself carried along its silver current, each point of light a lullaby, each shimmer a reassurance that you are safe, that you are drifting ever deeper into peace. You close your eyes for a moment, and the light is still there, warm, steady, endless. It carries you like a gentle tide, guiding you toward rest, guiding you toward dreams. You are no longer walking, no longer even drifting. You are simply being held by the calm of the sky, the soft rhythm of the universe itself. And here, among the stars, your journey softens. The palace, the river, the countryside, the desert, all have led you here to this cradle of night. You are safe, you are calm, you are already drifting deeper, carried on starlight itself. The city is quiet now. Cobblestone streets lie empty, their lamps glowing faintly in the mist, as though keeping watch over a world that has already slipped away. You move slowly, calmly, hearing only the echo of your own breath, the distant hum of silence. Yet as you walk, you begin to feel the soft presence of history itself, ghost-like, yet kind, drifting along with you. Though these streets are silent now, they once carried laughter and the sound of hurried footsteps, and the delicate hush of whispered promises beneath parasols. Beneath this very sky, young couples once strolled at arm's length, careful not to brush hands too soon, their hearts racing beneath layers of lace and linen. Every glance was a language, every pause a conversation. The Victorian world made courtship a ritual of patience. Love was rarely declared quickly. Instead, it was stitched together slowly, through looks across drawing rooms, through the careful offering of a book, through letters written in careful script that took days, sometimes weeks, to arrive. Imagine the weight of anticipation, waiting for words that could decide the course of a future. Tonight, as you drift along these streets, you can almost feel those letters still resting in the air, folded like secret wings of paper, carrying hopes across time. Some found joy in this slowness. They believed it made affection purer, more deliberate, tested by distance and restraint. Yet others, bound by rules and customs, felt love like a bird in a cage, alive, yet never quite free. You can sense both truths lingering here, the sweetness of longing and the ache of its delay. As you walk on, the houses seem to lean inward, their windows glowing faintly with memory. Within these walls, families gathered in parlours lit by lamplight, mothers carefully chaperoning visits, fathers watching quietly from armchairs. The piano might play softly, filling the silence between hesitant words. Two young people, seated politely apart, might have exchanged the briefest glance, one that carried more meaning than entire speeches. For in those days, silence itself could be the most eloquent of languages. Step by step, you move through this world that is no more, and yet still lives in the quiet of memory. The air feels gentle, slowed, as though time itself has loosened its grip, allowing you to linger. With each breath, you drift deeper into the calm weight of reflection. The streets ahead blur slightly, softened by mist, as though inviting you not to walk, but to drift, slowly, steadily, into dream. The Victorians left behind many inventions, many reforms, many ideas that shaped the modern world. But perhaps their most delicate legacy lies in how they thought about love. Not as something immediate, but as something to be earned, to be cultivated with patience. Today we move faster, speak freer, live without many of their constraints. Yet here, in this quiet reflection, one wonders, was there a kind of beauty in the waiting? Was there a sweetness in the distance? In the careful steps taken before closeness was allowed? The answer is not simple. For every joyful romance, there were those who never found fulfillment. For every letter that brought happiness, another carried rejection or silence, or was lost forever in the long journey of post. Yet all of it, longing, fulfillment, joy and sorrow, belong to the same great tapestry of human connection. And as you drift further into rest, you can sense that tapestry still stretching across time. Threads of love and patience woven into the fabric of history. The lamps burn lower now, their glow soft as candlelight. The mist thickens, wrapping you in its gentle embrace. The cobblestones beneath your feet seem to fade into something softer, quieter, until it feels less like walking and more like floating. The city, with its memories of courtship and love, is dissolving into dream. And as it does, you find yourself relaxing, your breath deepening, your body growing heavier, your mind slowing into peace. The city slowly drifts behind you, its streets fading into the mist like a painting left out in the rain. Ahead lies something quieter, softer, a garden that once bloomed with roses, ivy, and carefully trimmed hedges, now hushed beneath the cool touch of night. The gate creaks faintly as you step through, though in truth it may be only the whisper of memory itself. The path beneath your feet is covered with leaves, pale in the moonlight. Once, ladies in flowing gowns and young men in dark suits walked this very ground, strolling side by side under careful supervision, speaking in tones low enough that the wind could easily carry their words away. Tonight there are no voices, only the scent of the earth, the distant murmur of unseen water, and the soft hush of leaves stirred by the breeze. You pause by a stone bench, worn smooth by time. Imagine it long ago, two figures seated here, careful not to touch, careful to speak only what propriety allowed. Perhaps they spoke of books they had read, or music they had heard, or journeys they dreamed of taking. Yet beneath the surface of their words, emotions lingered like hidden roots, deeper, stronger, waiting for the right season to grow. The garden feels like a dreamscape now, 1 foot in memory, 1 in silence. Lanterns once hung from trees, casting golden light across blossoms, while orchestras played faintly from within the nearby house. If you listen closely, you might still hear it, the echo of violins, the rustle of skirts, the rhythm of hearts beating quickly in the dark. You walk on, and the garden gives way to an empty ballroom. Its high ceilings stretch above you, gilded chandeliers glinting faintly in the moonlight. The parquet floor gleams as though polished by the steps of countless dancers, though tonight it is still. Long ago, this hall rang with music and laughter. Couples twirled in sweeping arcs, their movements watched by ever-present chaperones. Every dance was a negotiation, every gesture weighed with significance. Yet when the music rose high enough, when the violins sang sweet and strong, even restraint seemed to soften. Hands might linger a fraction longer. A glance might speak more than an entire conversation. Now, only your footsteps sound within the vast hall. They echo gently, as though returning to you softened, wrapped in velvet. The walls, once hung with mirrors, reflect a hazy image of yourself moving slowly, dreamily, as if you too are part of the memory. The chandeliers sway faintly, though there is no wind. It is not movement of the present, but the echo of all that has been before. Victorian courtship was filled with rules, with layers of etiquette and caution. Yet within those constraints there was also a kind of poetry. Love became a language written not in grand declarations, but in silences, in pauses, in the smallest of gestures. A dropped glove, a handkerchief folded just so, a flower pressed into a book. These were symbols heavy with meaning. And though the ballroom is empty tonight, you can almost see them still. The quiet smiles, the flutter of fans, the language of affection whispered in ways no words could capture. You move toward the tall windows at the far end of the hall. Beyond them, the night spreads wide, filled with stars. You open the window, and a cool breeze carries the scent of distant rivers and fading flowers. The music is gone, the dancers are gone, but the stars remain exactly as they were then, exactly as they are now. The Victorians looked up at this same sky, made their wishes beneath these same constellations. Their lives have passed, their voices faded, but the heavens endure, silent, steady, eternal. As you breathe deeply, you feel yourself loosening further, as though part of you, too, is dissolving into the quiet rhythm of time. The garden, the ballroom, the memories, they blur together, softening into a haze of gold and silver light. You no longer walk, you drift. Each step grows slower, each breath deeper, your body sinking towards stillness. The legacy of Victorian romance is neither wholly sweet nor wholly sorrowful. It is a tapestry of longing and patience, of rules and rebellion, of dreams fulfilled and dreams left behind. And as you stand beneath the stars, gazing out into the endless night, you feel both the weight and the gentleness of that tapestry. It is a reminder that love, in every age, is fragile and fierce, patient and urgent, bound by time and yet yearning always to escape it. The ballroom fades, the stars remain, your eyes grow heavy. and the world begins to dim, one soft light at a time. The night deepens, and the world of the Victorians grows fainter, like candlelight slowly burning down to a quiet glow. You step from the empty ballroom into a narrow street, the kind that once carried the sound of carriage wheels, boots striking cobblestones, and the soft murmur of conversations held behind lace-curtained windows. Tonight, the street is hushed, silvered by moonlight, as if the city itself has gone to rest. Gas lamps stand in even rows, their iron frames leaning gently with age. Some still glow faintly, their light more memory than flame, while others have gone dark altogether, leaving long shadows that stretch across the road. You imagine the street as it once was, bustling with footsteps, laughter, and hurried whispers between couples careful not to be seen. Now, the sound that reaches you is only your own breathing, slow and steady, blending with the distant sigh of the wind. Each house you pass seems to carry its own story. Behind one door, perhaps a young woman once pressed her ear to the floorboards, straining to hear the carriages stopping outside, wondering if they brought news or a long-awaited guest. Behind another, a family might have gathered in the parlour, the father reading the evening paper, the mother quietly stitching, the children drowsing near the fire. All of them have passed into memory now, yet their presence lingers like faint shadows upon the walls. Your steps carry you toward the river, where the water glimmers with reflected starlight. Once, ships came and went here, carrying tea, silks and letters from faraway lands. Lovers may have stood on the banks saying their goodbyes, promising to write faithfully. Tonight the river is calm. Its surface ripples gently, like the breath of a world that never sleeps. The soft lap of water against stone is steady, hypnotic, a rhythm as ancient as time itself. You pause at the railing, leaning forward slightly. The cool air brushes against your skin, carrying with it the faintest echo of voices, distant, softened by years. Laughter, the rustle of gowns, the clatter of carriage wheels. But as quickly as they arrive, they dissolve, leaving only silence. It is not a silence of emptiness, but of peace, as though the past has found its rest. Looking up, the sky opens wide before you. Stars scatter in endless patterns, their light unchanged from the days when Victorians gazed upward with wonder, making wishes, whispering hopes, or perhaps simply letting their minds drift. The constellations tell stories older than any city, older than any love, yet always the same. Steady, patient, eternal. Under these same stars, lives began, courtships blossomed, and farewells were spoken. Under these same stars, you now stand, quiet, still, ready to drift away into the soft comfort of sleep. The city behind you fades into shadow. The lamps dim further. The cobblestones blur. Time itself seems to dissolve, leaving only the feeling of being gently held by the night. You are neither in the past nor the present, but somewhere between. A place where memory and dream overlap. A place where every sound grows softer, every breath deeper, every thought slower, until the weight of wakefulness slips gently from your shoulders. Victorian England, with all its rules and rituals, its joys and sorrows, begins to feel like a dream you once had. The laughter of crowded parlours, the stillness of hidden gardens, the grandeur of ballrooms, all become like distant echoes, comforting in their quiet, but no longer sharp, no longer near. What remains is only the soft glow of reflection, like the last ember of a fire, warm enough to soothe but never to disturb. As you take your final steps along the riverside, the world narrows to three simple things: the cool air against your skin, the steady rhythm of the river, and the stars above, shining with a calm that has always been and will always be. The city is behind you now. The night sky opens wide before you, and you feel yourself drifting, carried not by carriages or footsteps, but by the gentle pull of sleep itself. Your body grows heavier, your breath slows. The Victorian world fades completely, leaving you wrapped in silence, in stillness, in peace. And under the watch of the eternal stars, you are safe. You are calm. You are home. The journey is complete now. The streets of Victorian England, with their gas lamps, carriages, and whispered romances, slowly fade behind you. They dissolve like mist touched by the morning sun, until they are no more than a memory, no more than a dream. You have walked among them, felt their footsteps echo beneath your own, and glimpsed their quiet, tender struggles. But now, that world has grown still, tucked safely into history, leaving you free to rest. Take a gentle breath in, slowly exhale. Notice how the body responds, loosening, softening with each cycle of breath. With every exhale, the day you have lived drifts further away, and with every inhale, you draw in the quiet comfort of night. There is nothing you need to hold on to, nothing you need to do. This time is yours, a gift of calm, a space of safety where you can let go completely. Imagine yourself lying upon the softest bed, a bed that seems to cradle your body with perfect ease. Beneath you, the mattress yields gently, supporting every curve, holding you effortlessly. You do not need to adjust or search for comfort. It is already here, already surrounding you. Above, the air is cool and still, carrying the faintest sense of starlight, the timeless hush of night. Your eyelids grow heavier. If they are not already closed, you may allow them to fall now, sinking into darkness, sinking into rest. Behind those closed lids, the images of Victorian England fade into gentle shadow, like lanterns extinguished one by one. The city is quiet. The river is still. The stars remain, shining patiently above, guardians of your slumber. Now, let us move slowly through the body, inviting ease into every part. Begin with the crown of the head. Feel a wave of calm descending, loosening the tiny muscles of the scalp. That wave flows downward, across the forehead, smoothing away the lines of thought, of care, of memory. It lingers over the eyes, releasing them from effort. Your eyes need no longer see, no longer focus, they may simply rest. The calm drifts across the cheeks, the jaw. If there is any tightness, any holding on, allow it to soften now. The jaw falls loose, the tongue resting gently in its place. A sigh may escape, quiet, unbidden. That is the sound of release. The wave continues downward, over the neck, easing tension, undoing knots of the day. Shoulders grow heavy, surrendering to gravity, no longer carrying weight. Arms sink, hands resting where they fall, fingers loose, almost floating in their stillness. The chest rises and falls with the slow rhythm of breath. Each inhalation fills you with quiet. Each exhalation empties you of effort. The heart beats steady, a metronome of peace guiding you deeper. The calm spreads through the belly, soothing every muscle, every organ, until even the core of the body is light, unburdened. Hips and thighs follow, sinking further into the bed. No need to move. Calves soften, feet grow warm and heavy, toes unclench, drifting into stillness. Now the whole body is loose, safe, surrendered. You are supported fully, held completely in this quiet moment. And as the body rests, the mind too begins to float. Thoughts, if they come, are like small clouds, drifting across a vast sky. You need not chase them. You need not resist them. Simply watch them appear, and then dissolve, leaving the sky clear once more. Perhaps you picture yourself by the riverside once again, but this time there are no crowds, no carriages, no expectations. Only the water, calm and silver under the stars. Only the night, endless and tender. You may step into a small boat, one that rocks gently as you lower yourself into it. The boat is safe, steady, waiting to carry you. As you recline, the current takes hold. Not fast, not forceful, but slow, steady, like a cradle rocking. The boat drifts downriver, the world growing quieter with each passing moment. On either side, the banks blur into shadow. The lamps fade. Even the stars seem to stretch farther apart, until there is only you, the boat, and the endless rhythm of water. The sound of the current is like breath. In, out, in, out. Each stroke carries you deeper into rest. Each ripple is another layer of waking life slipping away. Your body is heavy. Your mind is light. You float between the two, balanced, content. And as you drift, you hear a voice, not outside of you, but within, whispering softly, "You are safe. You are calm. You are at peace." The words repeat like a lullaby. Safe, calm, peace. Again softer. Safe, calm, peace. Time stretches thin here. Minutes and hours lose their meaning. There is only the rhythm of rest, the gentle motion of sleep approaching. The boat carries you further still, into open water, where the river merges with a vast lake, smooth and endless. The surface reflects the stars, so that above and below you is only night sky, only starlight. You are suspended in infinity, floating, weightless, timeless. Here, there is no history, no worry, no tomorrow to prepare for. There is only this moment, this breath, this peace. You are safe. You are calm. You are at peace. Let those words carry you now. Let them settle deep within, like stones sinking to the bottom of clear water. With each repetition, they grow quieter, until they become part of you, needing no voice, no reminder. You drift further still. The stars blur. The water slows. Even the rhythm of thought softens into stillness. Sleep comes gently, wrapping you like a blanket. The journey is over, yet it continues in dream. The city has faded, but its echoes remain, not to disturb, but to soothe. You are free to rest now, free to let go, free to sink into the deepest, safest sleep. The voice grows fainter now, as faint as the last echo of footsteps on a forgotten street, as faint as a candle guttering low. Only the silence remains. You are safe. You are calm. You are at peace, over and over, softer each time. Safe, calm, peace, until even the words dissolve, leaving only breath, only sleep, only quiet. And if this journey brought you calm, if it helped you find peace tonight, you are gently invited to join again, to return whenever rest is needed. Subscribe for more relaxing history sleep stories, more nights of calm, more journeys into the past that guide you softly into dreams. But for now, all is quiet, all is still, all is sleep. Good night.